Hi, recap now here. Today I am going to explain an action drama movie called One Fast Move. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Opening a young racer, fresh out of prison, must turn to the father who abandoned him to navigate the dangerous world of racing and reclaim his life. The movie starts with an illegal street race. During the race, the sound of approaching sirens alarms the racers, and soon, the area is flooded with police cars. Wes, one of the racers, tries to escape but falls off his bike, leading to his quick arrest by the police. The scene then shifts to Wes, speaking with his probation officer while he's in prison. She tells him that finding a job will be challenging, and suggests that construction work might be his only option. However, Wes is uninterested, and only asks when he can get his bike back. As soon as he's released, he takes off with his bike. Wes arrives at a location where a race is about to begin. He stands among the spectators and notices a man in the crowd, recognizing him even through his helmet. After the race, Wes approaches one of the racers, Dean Miller, his father. Wes tries to start a conversation, but Dean is initially dismissive, not recognizing Wes until he mentions his mother, Laura Neal. Realizing who Wes is, Dean still tries to brush him off, saying it's not the best time. Wes persists, and eventually, Dean suggests they head to a nearby bar called Maggie's to talk over a beer. Later that night, Wes meets Dean at the bar as planned. However, Dean acts irresponsibly, flirting and hooking up with women right in front of Wes. This behavior frustrates Wes, who eventually decides to leave. Dean follows him outside, trying to calm him down, but Wes isn't interested in hearing excuses. Wes then suggests they smoke and talk. As they were talking, Wes revealed his true purpose for coming. He wanted to race professionally. Dean is skeptical, pointing out how difficult it is to break into the sport, especially at Wes's age, since most racers are scouted much younger. Wes angrily decides to leave, but Dean offers to help by inviting Wes to bring his bike to the Legacy Speed Shop, where Dean works. He offers to give Wes a tune-up for free, and Wes agrees to stop by. The next day, Dean went to the shop. He met the owner, Abel. Dean also came from the back, and introduced the two of them. Dean then told Wes to follow to the back, and showed him the bikes. He showed him a very good bike, and Wes asked if he could ride it, so the two went out to ride their bikes together. While riding, Dean noticed Wes was being reckless, and told him to pull over. Dean angrily warned Wes that his behavior could get them both killed. But Wes dismissed it, suggesting Dean was just upset about losing. Despite Wes's attitude, Dean agreed to take him to the track, but emphasized that the track requires discipline, warning that if Wes acted recklessly again, their partnership would end. The next morning, Dean gave Wes a racing jacket, and they went out to race. During the race, Wes crashed his bike. Dean mocked him, and told Wes to load the bike onto the truck before they left the track. Back at the motel, Wes asked Dean what to do about the damaged bike. Dean bluntly advised him to strip it for parts and make some money. Wes, desperate, explained that racing was his only hope after 6 months in prison. Dean, though initially skeptical, agreed to train Wes under strict conditions, telling him to show up at the shop on Monday morning, ready to start. The next morning, Wes visits a diner where a waitress, recognizing him from before, asks about his bike. He tells her he crashed it, and she asks where he's from, noticing he's new in town before leaving. Wes asks her out for drinks. She initially refuses, saying she doesn't date customers, but then gives him her number after he promises not to eat there again. Wes then heads to the shop to meet Dean, who gives him a new bike. Wes promises to pay him back. While Dean works on the bike, he shares some of his background with Wes. As they talk, Abel arrives and informs Dean that someone is there for him. Abel then offers Wes a job, which Wes gladly accepts. Wes begins working at the shop, with Abel keeping a close eye on his interactions with customers. Meanwhile, Wes continues his training with Dean. Dean began instructing Wes through an earpiece while they were riding, but Wes quickly found it annoying and turned it off. Despite this, Dean continued to train Wes daily, and Wes steadily improved. One day, after a training session, Dean and Wes had a conversation where Dean reflected on how much fun he was having, admitting that he had forgotten the joy of riding after so many years of competing. Dean then told Wes that he believed he was ready for his first race, and Wes confidently agreed, feeling prepared for the challenge ahead. Wes met up with Camila, the woman from the diner, for drinks. They talked about motorcycles, with Camila expressing her belief that they are dangerous. She also shared that she is studying to become a nurse. When she suggested they dance, Wes hesitated, admitting he couldn't dance, but she convinced him and they ended up dancing and kissing. The next morning, Wes headed to the track for his first race. As they were preparing, two other racers, Bobby and Cody, showed up. Dean introduced Wes as Legacy's newest rider, and a bit of banter followed between the racers. Bobby and Cody, representing Feral Performance, mentioned their high expectations and recent equipment upgrades, setting the stage for some rivalry. The race began, with Dean standing among the audience, cheering enthusiastically for Wes. As the race progressed, Wes took the lead, and Camila, who was also in the crowd, loudly cheered him on. After a fierce competition, Wes emerged victorious. Dean proudly shouted to the audience, claiming Wes as his son. Wes received a trophy for his win. After the ceremony, Camila approached to congratulate him. Dean introduced himself as Wes's trainer and father. Camila mentioned she had a night shift, and Wes walked her out of the track. That night, Wes participated in an illegal race and ended up getting arrested. Abel bailed him out and Wes, overwhelmed, hugged Abel and broke down in tears. Back at Abel's home, Abel asked Wes about Camila, and Wes admitted that things didn't work out. Abel then shared how his marriage ended because he prioritized racing over his family. He told Wes he could stay as long as he needed. The next day, Dean visited Wes to apologize for their fight. He opened up about his abusive father, explaining that this relationship made him believe he wouldn't be a good father to Wes. So he left, thinking it would be better for Wes and his mom. Wes listened and told Dean that he was beginning to understand who Dean was. Abel showed Wes his bike collection and encouraged him to keep racing, telling him that he was good at it and needed to pursue it. Later, Wes went to apologize to Camila, but she wasn't interested in talking. He told her about his upcoming big race and expressed his desire for her and Leo to be there. However, Camila explained that she couldn't bear the thought of watching him risk his life on the track every day and return to her house. The next day, as Wes was preparing for a race, he noticed Dean there as well. When Wes asked why, Dean revealed that he was also going to race. Just before the race began, Wes saw Camila in the audience who called out to him. As the race started, Wes and Dean quickly moved ahead of the pack, battling each other for first place. However, near the end of the race, Dean suddenly veered off the track, crashing hard. With Dean out of the race, Wes crossed the finish line as the victor. As Dean was being taken for medical attention, he raised his hand to congratulate Wes, who acknowledged it with a nod. The movie concludes with everyone celebrating Wes's victory. Camila came to the track and kissed him, marking a moment of reconciliation and triumph. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.